A lot of they're afraid to express themselves, to allow their thoughts and feelings to be shared. As men, we do not want to talk about our mental well-being and how that impacts on our masculinity. So remember, do not be afraid, but call Josh on 07852 473 473. And I'm really, really looking forward to talking to you. Remember, it's a relaxed.
Broadcasting worldwide 24/7, 365. Relax Radio. Relax Radio.
Hi, my dear listeners, and welcome to Talk to Josh. Today, we are going to talk about managing change. What is change? Life is ever-changing process. What is our response to our emotion change? The moment we are conceived and the moment till the moment we pass, our life is going to go through constant change, be it financial, emotion, in our relationship. Change could be really positive or negative, but what it depends on is how we adapt to change and how we become resilient to change. In order to discuss this more further, I have a guest with me today, Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Welcome to Talk to Josh. How are you today?
Very well, thanks. How are you?
Not bad. So, Lisa, we are going to talk about managing change. So,
Yeah.
just before we go in depth and talk about this, just briefly tell our audience who you are and what part of the UK you're from.
I live in Alderley Edge, which is in Cheshire, and I am a Reiki master
Excellent. And how long have you been a Reiki master?
for 3 years now.
Okay. So, before you became a Reiki master, what did you do?
I was married, I had children, but before that, I was a model. I worked for Mattel. I had a 2-year contract with Mattel as the Barbie PR, press, TV representative, and then I did some catwalk work in Milan and Paris. So quite busy.
Oh my God! So, what made you go into modelling?
I was just got picked. I got picked in Manchester, head spotted in Manchester. Just tall and slim, I suppose. Was lucky, and then I got headhunted, and then it interested me. The travel interested me, and the Mattel work particularly because we did a lot of charity work as well for children's charities. So that was.
So, as a model, there must have been a lot of constant change that you had to go, especially being young at the time, where you were about 16, 17 years old. So, what was that process like for you as a young person, working in the fashion industry?
I mean, I think I took most of it on the chin, but I mean, there was a lot of you were objectified a lot. I mean, you were too thin, too fat, too blonde, too dark, it was. There's a lot of rejection, put it that way. So it's quite a tough job, for somebody who was about 20, yeah.
And how did you manage rejection? Sorry, not
you just got used to it. You just had to sort of grit your teeth and go with it, bear it, really.
Do you think because you're young at the time and you just thought, that I'm just learning, and you just done it?
Yeah, we just grit your teeth and get on with it. Yeah, I didn't want to be a failure. I didn't want to go back home being a failure. So it was hard sometimes, but just really, got on with it.
Okay. So after you finished that, so when did you start practicing to be a Reiki master? How did you get? First of all, how did you get into Reiki master? Become Reiki?
Well, I think I've always had an addictive personality, but not being too personal, but my marriage didn't go very well, so that's pushed me towards using alcohol to make myself feel better or numb even. And part of the recovery program is a 12-step program, which is spiritual. So Reiki is spiritual too. So I kept seeing it on social media or reading about it, and I thought, that really interests me. I'm going to find out about that.
Oh, do you know what? Can I just go back when you said you had the addictive personality, right?
Yeah.
How does one know how do you know when say, how do you become I've got addictive personality? What are the signs? How do you how do you find that for yourself?
Well, it's just become, when your relationships become a problem, or you're lying about what you do,
Mm,
that's when I think it becomes problematic.
mm. And how did you help yourself, or what support did you have in coming out of that relationship and also getting help around your addiction?
I saw a really good counsellor, a lady who's based in the Northwest. She's a much older lady. I think she's 40 years sober, and I think she used to run the Priory in Altrincham, which is a rehab around here.
Yeah.
And she was a counsellor, very wise lady, and she really helped me.
Yeah. Well, what kind of work did she do with you, if you don't mind me asking?
It's talking, really.
What, talk therapy?
Talk therapy, just talking it through.
Mm. Well, and as a coach, I understand that, because I think sometimes especially in modern society, we think we've got a lot of friends, but we don't have anyone to talk to. And
Yeah,
silence is a killer, isn't it? If you
it
are
can be. And also, there's a certain stigma attached to addiction as well, particularly, I think, for, maybe wrong in saying this, for women with children. And you want somebody who you can confide in, and it's not going to go any further, and somebody who doesn't judge you as well, who's somebody who's been in the same boat.
Mm, mm. Well, any kind of addiction is a disease, right?
Yeah,
And in our society, I think we're getting better now. We're understanding
yeah,
alcohol and drugs, smoking,
yeah,
overeating. I think we are more. There's a lot of research done on that, so we understand the implication on self-care, understanding the mental impact all this has on us. So there's a lot of research out there to help people and support group.
yeah.
But one of the things about addiction, I would say, is, first of all, would you say that it's important to acknowledge it for yourself and say, look, if you don't acknowledge it, then you can't seek to get the support, can you?
You have to admit you've got a problem
Mm.
before you can receive help properly. Yeah, you've got to admit it.
And
Yeah.
for you, when did like when you said the support, when was the realization for you to say, actually, this is not a good way of me living, like, drinking and stuff like that? When did you realize?
I was drinking secretly, and it was affecting my children as well, which I absolutely adore both my children. So that's how I knew it was a problem. And also that's how I knew it was an illness, because, as I said, I adore my children and I wouldn't let anything affect them. So for me, it must have been an illness. It was an illness.
Yeah. So now, moving on from that, now you've become a Reiki master.
Yeah.
So just share with us a little bit about what you do as a Reiki master and where do you practice?
I practice a purpose-built rehab in Northwich, Cheshire, which is called Delamere, because it's right next to Delamere Forest.
Yeah.
I work with people suffering with addiction there as a Reiki master. I also have my own Reiki practice in somewhere called Winslow, which is up in Cheshire. And sometimes I work on Harley Street as well. So those are the three places I work. Yeah.
So as a Reiki master, what kind of support do you provide for your clients, and what kind of work do you do?
Well, I do talk to them, so there is some talking therapy to it as well. But Reiki resets a person's energy. There's 7 different energy points called chakras, which you may have heard of, and it rebalances the body, resets it, helps with anxiety, stress, which can lead to addictive tendencies. And it just really helps them. It really stops them overthinking, calms them down, reduces the risk to drink or use. So they find it really, really helpful. Does benefit them.
So as the clients, when you get them, do you do the physical Reiki, where you're moving the energy level and balancing the chakra? Yeah. And
Yes.
how rewarding do you find that?
So rewarding. I mean, the people I meet, the stories I hear are just unbelievable. Of course, it's all confidential, but it's so nice to see somebody 6 months down the line and they stop drinking, or they stop smoking, or their confidence has improved. So yeah, it's so rewarding, so beneficial.
So you're absolutely right. We're talking about managing change, right?
Yeah.
What do you think the secrets about managing change, in terms of how people can manage that in a more positive and a constructive way?
I think just if they're struggling, talk about it. In
Yeah.
my experience, talk to family, friends, people they can confide in and they can trust.
Yeah. But in modern society, there are people who feel they haven't got a support network,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
that's
I get some clients at the rehab, they're addicted to social media. So,
yeah,
it's a problem in itself. I would say get out in nature, go for a long walk, meditate,
yeah,
eat well, exercise, basics really.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, so if you live like, for example, in inner city London and places like that where you got over 7-8 million people living together, and you're going through anxiety or stress,
Yeah.
one of the aspect about managing those change is about looking at your network and your support environment. So
Yeah.
as a coach, I always say, look, if you want to change any aspect of your life, first of all, set a goal. Look at goal setting.
Yeah.
What you want to change, and also change is not easy. Lisa, is it? Change can be painful because it disrupts your daily routine.
Oh,
You lose someone if you're grieving, or if you lost a job, or if you got a divorce. It's a healing process, isn't it? So, what would you say one of the ways that people can manage change in a positive way, apart from
sorry.
sorry, what could be one of the strategies you feel that people can manage change in a positive way? One of the strategies
Well,
that you could share
do
with people.
it day by day. Don't put too much on yourself. Don't think, right, I'm going to be this in a week's time. Just do it gradually, day by day, or even minute by minute.
Yeah. So in your professional or personal life,
Mm.
what changes have you gone through, and how did you manage that?
Well, the stopping drinking was the counsellor. I go to recovery meetings. I still do. I've got a lot of friends there, which is nice.
Mm.
Just healthier. I do meditate twice a day.
Yeah.
I feel I don't feel right if I've not done it at
Mm.
least once or twice a day. I exercise. I eat really well. I look after myself. I sleep well. That's important too. And I see lots of like-minded people, so that's why I go to recovery meetings.
And do you know what? It's really interesting you say about sleeping and eating, because that's about self care and creating a great
Yeah.
habit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because one of the things I find when I'm working with clients, when we talk about self care and looking after yourself, sometimes they feel like they've been selfish. They say, "Well, that sounds like being selfish. I'm taking care of myself." I said, "No, you're not being selfish. What you're doing actually, you're looking after your body, your mind, and your spirit, right? Because if you don't look after the vessel, you,
Mm.
then no one's going to look after that, are they? If you abuse it, then it's not going to give you long life and longevity, is it?
No, you can't function if you've not slept well, you've not eaten well.
No.
It's impossible. Yeah.
One of the things that I find, when we're talking about managing change, is sleeping habits.
Mm.
There's a pandemic of poor sleeping in the UK.
Yeah.
I mean, so what are the ones? How do you sleep? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Do you get 7 hours sleep, 8 hours sleep, or
I
how
sleep like a baby because I meditate and I do Reiki.
do you?
So it knocks me out. Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
would you say to people who really struggle to switch off because they got their mobile phones, they watch TV, or they're eating late? What would you?
Just don't go on the phone after about 7 o'clock. Meditate.
So
Yeah.
what?
Don't drink alcohol.
Well, some people are like meditating and stuff like that, and they've really, really struggled to meditate.
Yeah.
Meditation. I would say one of the things looking at, to improve, like self care is you can
Yeah.
do simple things like walking.
Yeah.
Just getting a pair of trainers, going out in the street or the park, and just
Yeah.
going for a walk, because it doesn't cost you any money,
Yeah.
and it looks after you. Do you know that?
Mm.
And then the other bit about where we talked about eating. And that plays a significant part again about nurturing your body and your mindsets, right? Because the diet is a significant aspect of managing change in your body and mind, isn't it? So what
Yeah.
would you say in terms of people who might not look at diet as like significant?
Well, it does. I mean, if you eat well, it feeds your brain. I find I can think better, concentrate better.
Yeah.
And it also builds self-respect, self-esteem. If you're looking after yourself, it's a knock-on effect. You'll work better. You'll have better relationships. You'll be in a better mood. You'll sleep better. So that's
And
what
do you know what amazes me? We've got so many cooking programs.
I know.
There's so many cooking programs out there, of all the channels.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we in the UK do less cooking and order more takeaways. So, that's why Uber and all these other companies are really, really popular, right? Do you think it's one of the things is about creating a habit in terms of, going into the kitchen and creating something out of nothing? Like our parents do. We don't do that often, do we? We just go, oh, can't.
It's too convenient to just get Deliveroo or go to McDonald's. But I mean, it can be that way. But we should go back to that, just thinking what's in the fridge, what can I make tonight, even if it's just an omelette and a salad or something, something simple, instead of that instant gratification of just pressing a button and somebody comes to your door with whatever they do,
Absolutely. And then, because today's topic is about managing change. And I always say, managing change, you can do step by step. Like, for example, when you said, from your divorce to addiction, you have to go by step, because change, you can't change dramatically. Do you know that? This is what I'm trying to say. You can't change overnight. It takes a process. So for you, when you were going through your different aspect of your changes, right? Well, how did you manage those changes and navigate them through the complexity of them?
If I thought, right, I've got to change, if I set myself a target, it was just too much. It was overwhelming. So my advice would be put it down to a day at a time, even a minute at a time, if that's what suits you. If that's all you can handle. Yeah.
And it's also about being resilient, isn't it? Being focused and determined.
Sticking
Do you also feel that friends and families and your environment plays an important part on how you manage change?
Massively, massively.
So did you have a lot of support network to help you when you were going through your changes?
I have a lot of really, really good friends. I'm close to my mum, so they really help me.
And do you feel like your other friends supported you to guide you emotionally, spiritually?
Some did. I mean, a lot of people don't understand addiction. They just think, "Oh, just stop. Why can't you just stop?" So unless they're an addict themselves, they don't really get it.
So if someone who doesn't understand what addiction is, if you would describe to our audience, what does the addiction look like for a person? What would you say?
It's a habit you desperately want to change, but you find it almost impossible not to.
And because when like smoking or drinking or drugs, you get into this cycle of vicious circle, isn't it? Where they just try and then they have to hit the rock bottom in order to understand and appreciate what happened. What happened? But one of the things, some people don't get the opportunity to change, do they? Because they haven't got the support network or the realization that actually the addiction is really, really harming them.
I think one of the things that saved me is the responsibility for my children. I had to get sober for me, and I had to get sober for them. They say you have to do it for yourself first, but a big chunk of it for me was for doing it for the children, definitely. But some people haven't got children or any responsibility, so I would imagine it's more difficult for them.
Yeah, and so were your children aware of had issue with drug alcohol?
What now?
When you had addiction with the alcohol, were your children and your partner aware of your dependence on alcohol?
The children were very small. They knew something wasn't right, but we don't dwell on it.
And so when you go and talk, when you're doing your Reiki and you talk to your clients, apart from talking to them and Reiki, what other support do you provide for them?
Well, a lot of them are in a rehab anyway, so I go in and do Reiki with them, have a chat to them, tell them about my experience. I mean, my private clients come in, we chat. I'll tell them quite candidly about what I went through, so that resonates with them. And then they have a Reiki session, and most come back every week or a few months.
So do you, as a Reiki master now, do you set yourself goals that say, look, I'm going to manage my changes? Do you have a goal set templates that you practice yourself?
For the client?
Well, no, for yourself as a Reiki master.
Well, I'm nearly 13 years sober, so
Congratulations.
thank you. I'm vigilant that I don't want to drink again, but I think the longer you do it, the easier it gets. For my clients, if they want to stop smoking, we might cut it down by half for a month and then go completely cold turkey.
Yeah.
After that, do it in stages so it's not such a big a deal for them.
No. So, but also from that, moving on, how in your professional, personal life,
Yeah.
how do you manage unexpected change in your life? What are the strategies you use?
Well, again, meditation, speak to my friends, speak to my mum, just try and do it as calmly and as obviously soberly as possible.
Okay. And do you feel that as you get more mature in life, that
Yeah.
you have more experience to handle difficult
Yeah,
challenges?
definitely. Yeah, life experience does help with challenges. Yeah, definitely.
So, if you had the chance to go back
Yeah.
to where you are now, Lisa, to go back and tell yourself, Lisa, who's 18 years old, what would you say?
Ooh, what would I say? What would I say? Obviously, don't drink, but I couldn't really help that. Maybe, how can I put it diplomatically? Be more careful in the relationships I get involved with.
Mm. And what would you think the reaction would be from that young Lisa?
You'd probably just go ahead and do it anyway.
I think one of the things as a coach I've noticed, we all say, "Oh God, if I had the chance to do that," I say, "Look, the past is the past.
Yeah.
And what we learn from the past is the experience, and hopefully, we can make it better. There shouldn't be any regrets or fear or anything like that. It's happened, and how do we and one of the things I always look at about managing change is that how do we move forward?
Yeah.
It's the ability to
Let it go. Really.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an interesting phrase you use, letting go. How did you manage to let go? What was your strength behind letting go?
Well, you get to a point where you think the resentment can eat you up inside and
Yeah.
can make you bitter and unhappy. So, for your own personal happiness, you just have to work at just trying to maybe not forgive and forget, but just let it go. Just move on.
Mm. And that's one of the key skills, isn't it, about managing that? It's the ability to say, actually, if I don't let this thought process of the past go, it's going to become poisonous. It's
Yeah.
going to hinder my vision of where I want to go. Because when I'm working with clients, especially around the past trauma, I look at the therapeutic side of it, but I also look at saying, if you're going to be thinking about the past, then you can't move forward.
Yeah.
Because it just eats you up, as you say, eats you up all the time. You're thinking, if. I mean, it's happened. And as a human being, we are so resilient and we're so strong and we're so gifted that we have the mindset and the skill sets to actually change.
Mm.
And that's the key, is unlocking that true potential to say to people, yes, it's okay. And also, as a human race, it's part of our experience to go through that, isn't it?
It is.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, definitely is. That's what we're here to do. Go through
yeah.
different experiences.
So what can I ask you? Going through the changes that you went and
Yeah.
became a Reiki master, right?
Hmm.
I know you've been attracted to it, to be Reiki master.
Yeah.
But what made you want to help other people?
Because I'd been through the mill myself.
Mm.
I knew what it was like, and I'd come out the other side. So it just really interests me. I can sit down and speak to, weird and wonderful clients all day long. The stuff they tell me, the things they get up to is just mind blowing. But it's interesting. It's not a boring,
No.
career.
And do you find it also it's a healing process for you too? Or continue?
Yeah, it does. It's an absolute healing process for me too. It takes me back to when I was struggling with addiction, and it makes me grateful for how far I've come.
Yeah. Do you ever congratulate yourself and say, "Well done, Lisa, for being here"?
Occasionally, but I'm not very good at that. But yeah, occasionally.
That's interesting. Is that because you've not been taught to do that, or is that just British thing to congratulate yourself?
Yeah, I think that's just the way I was brought up. That you just sort of knuckle down and get on with it. You don't. I do a little bit, and I mean they do when I go to recovery meetings. You know, we congratulate each other, but I don't. Yeah, I don't make a big fuss of it. Yeah.
No, and that's interesting because that's again, we talk about self
Yeah.
care habit. We, for in especially in European society, we don't take a step back and congratulate ourselves, saying, "Actually, you've done that really well."
Yeah.
Do you do anything in terms of like reflection? Do you get every opportunities and times where you say, "Look, I'm going to do some reflection on what went well. How am I going to do this?" Do you do that, and do you practice that? If you do,
I do go back and reflect, but not too much. Because the past is done and dealt with. That's what I saw a counsellor for. We went through it with a fine tooth comb, really. But I think it's sometimes handy to look back and see how far you've come. But just a short glance, not to dwell on it too much.
no. And so, Lisa, now the Reiki master,
Yeah.
what do you see in the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself going with this practice that you have?
I want to start teaching Reiki. That's a big thing I want to do. I also would like to, somewhere near where I live, which is Alderley Edge, set up a wellness cafe, a safe space for people in recovery to come to have nice food, to have Reiki sessions, to have yoga, do meditation, maybe have meetings there. That's what I'd really, really like to do. Yeah.
And have you developed a goal setting for that, or is this something that
I'm currently doing a business plan for it, so it's something that really interests me.
So there you go. So you're constantly going through change.
Yeah.
It's wonderful change you're going through. You've got this vision of opening the cafe,
Yeah.
the business plan. So what motivates you and drives you to do this?
I love my job.
Yeah.
I love talking to addicts. I love talking to people with, Reiki works not with just addiction. I deal with a lot of people who, ladies who suffer with the menopause, people who have back pain. I had somebody with psoriasis the other day. It works on any physical or mental health problems. So it's just the variety of people that I see and the way I can help them is so rewarding.
Yeah. Look, there's, as one of my friends said, look, alternative therapy, if it helps you, then do it. Because I think any form of like reflexology, Reiki, meditation, if it helps you to manage pain and suffering, then it's a great thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So do you think in our modern society we're skeptical about alternative medications and therapy?
Yeah, definitely. I get a lot of clients come to me who are skeptical. And I've not had one that said, yeah, I was right to be skeptical. They always love it. They always love it.
Yeah. You're right, because alternative medication and therapy can also work with traditional medication.
Yeah, it works hand in hand very, very well.
Very, it's about it's about how you manage that, isn't it? In terms of what's best for you, because you as a person know what's best for you, don't you?
Yes, definitely.
And what journey you're going through, and if anything like those, Reiki or meditation or reflection helps you, then you should take that on board so that it can help you to help you to support to heal, isn't it? Because
definitely.
Because one of the things, people say pain is inevitable, suffering is an option. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, when we talk about change, so as a person of Reiki master and all the life experience you have, right, what would you say to someone who's young just in the 16, 18, 19, they're just going through all these changes? What kind of wisdom or advice would you give them?
Well, if they're anything like me at 16, they probably wouldn't take it. But when my dad was alive, he was quite strict, and all I wanted to do was go out and party. And maybe I should have listened to my parents more. I should have done it, but Was I going to? No, I was never going to do that. Yeah.
But young people always say, look, you will learn, you'll go through partying, whatever you want to do. There will come a time of realization. Even adults, people in the 30s and 40s and 50s, they say they're making a mistake. Oh, I'm doing that. I said, no, it's not a mistake.
Yeah.
You're just going through that process, isn't it? Yeah. Because one of the things that we don't appreciate now, and I think this is to do with more with the media and culture, is aging process. Because everybody still wants to look 20, yeah?
Yeah.
And that managing that change presses a lot of emotion buttons. What are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, what was that?
What is your thoughts on that?
Age as well as you can. I mean, we're not going to look 20 forever, so I have to accept that, but do it as well and as gracefully as you can. Yeah.
But you see a lot of young people now who are only 20, or girls who are 14, 15, they're going for Botox, introduction. Do you think those kind of change are healthy for our society?
Not really, no. It's far too young to start having things done, I think, at that age. Far too young. And I think it's the pressure of social media, this desire to look perfect all the time, and nobody does.
No. And I think it's a great tragedy that young boys and girls now are under the impression that they have to look a certain way, they have to have a certain body, and it's not healthy. It's unnatural to have six-pack and this and that, because your body is meant to be internally what's going on, your organs, your heart, your liver, your blood. Yeah. One of the things as a coach I always say to people, look after what you eat and do exercise. But it doesn't mean you need to, it's okay if you want to build, muscles, and that's fine. But you don't, who you are is actually perfect.
Yeah. It's much better to, I mean, if you eat healthily and you exercise, you're 90% there anyway, aren't you?
Yes. But I think the pressure now for a lot of people generally, I mean, you know what? I don't know if you watched a program called 10 Years Younger. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah. Amazing what they do, yeah.
It's a crazy program, yeah. All they do, give them a haircut, fix their teeth, and and then they say to them, you look 10. They always pick people who've had a quite hard life, right?
Yes, yeah.
Right. And then what they do, they get them a little makeover, give them new clothes, and say, look how you look now. And I'm like, this is terrible, because you know what? You're telling people you should do this, pay for surgery. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say? I think that's not a healthy program, is it? Because
I mean, they do make them look tons better, but it's a haircut, isn't it? And makeup and clothes. Most of us do that. So,
and that's what I say. So they always pick someone who's really vulnerable, or who's had the rotten teeth because they smoked or whatever, and do a little bit of makeup, and then they say, look, this is how you should look. And I say, actually, I can see the point, but at the same time, basically the message has been sent out. If you want to manage change in terms of your person looks and this and that, it's all physical rather than mental and spiritual, isn't it? That's what I'm trying to get at, and that's not a good sign, is it? Like to
it's not healthy. No, you need this. The head needs to be right. The overthinking, no anxiety, need to concentrate on that as much as if they do need to concentrate on the physical appearance, they don't really.
Well, you know what? I was working with some young boys in secondary school doing some motivational speeches, and I was struck how those it's all boys' school, and they were saying to me, "Oh, we have to have certain type of body." Some of them are on diet, and I'm like, "Listen, you're 14, 15 years old. You don't need to be on diet. You should be going out there, experimenting with every single different beautiful fruit, that is out there, and taste. Develop your taste bud, and look at different healthy way of eating rather than saying I'm too fat." I just thought it's quite a tragedy, isn't it? It
is tragic, yeah, because they're just beautiful young teenagers. They don't, just eat well, exercise. That's all they should do, really. They shouldn't have to be so concerned about their appearance, but there's so much pressure on Instagram.
And that goes back to you when you're a young model, right?
Yeah.
As a model, that there must have been a lot of pressure on you to look a certain way, weight a certain way. So how did you cope with that? Because as a young
what did we do? We wouldn't eat much during the week, or we'd eat salad and fizzy water that fills you up, and then pig out the weekend. That's not particularly healthy, but no, at least we did eat something, I suppose.
But when you were doing that, were you encouraged to do that by people, or
They tell you what to do, but they expect you to be a certain weight or a certain measurement. Yeah.
well, like, you know what? Instead, I was looking at catwalk in the early 2004 and 5.
Yeah.
To see on TV, beautiful looking young women going on, and they look really skinny. And I feel like saying, look, give them burgers or chips. They don't look well.
Yeah.
They're beautiful, but you just think, oh, poor young people. I don't know, but my vision of beauty is probably different from everyone else. But I'm just saying, it's really sad and an indictment of our society where we expect changes, in young people be in certain way. They have to look certain things. Do you think that will ever change in fashion industry?
I think it's healthier at the moment. I think girls are curvier.
Yeah.
They have bigger bottoms. They have, they're more curvy and more muscular. So that seems a lot healthier. But back in the 90s, mid 90s, it was skinny. So it does seem to change. Yeah, I'm sure skinny will come back.
And also, fashion plays a really important part when we're talking about managing change, because the fashion industry dictates, don't they, of what clothes you should wear. I mean, look, I'm not that big guy, but I sometimes struggle just to get medium size. I'm like, oh my god, I can't get in. Why is that? Because it's, for some reason, have you noticed they get smaller and smaller?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that's about. But also a lot of people since lockdown are wearing gym wear every day if they've got a job that will accommodate that. So we are more body conscious, but there's curvier people out there, which is a good sign. Yeah.
And you said something really interesting about since the lockdown. Do you feel like a lot of people have changed in terms of the working pattern since the lockdown because they're working from home?
Yeah, definitely.
So they don't have to dress up. Personal hygiene could be, something that. What I'm trying to say, because when you're going to office, you get up, you have a habit, you brush your teeth, shower, have something to eat, get ready. But now, because you're in one confined space, do you think that has a major impact on people managing their emotional well-being?
I don't. I think more people work from home, definitely. But what their habits are when they're doing it, I don't know. But yeah, definitely since lockdown, more of my clients work from home. They go into office 3 days a week.
Well, no, the reason I'm saying that because I've got a lot of people that I know who work from home, and some of my clients, and they're saying that their daily routine and in managing that it's gone out because so they'll get out of bed and they'll just okay, I'm just going to put the laptop on. So those kind of routine, whereas when you went to work, there was structure, but now the new structure is you just do everything from home. And I'm just wondering, is that healthy for a person if it's not managed in a really constructive way?
I don't know. I've heard some funny tales from clients where they're at home and they'll get up and I don't know whether they shower or not, but they'll put a shirt and tie on, but that box is there, so it's tops covering the top half. So but they seem to stay with it.
And the other thing is, if you're not interacting with people, how do you share your thoughts, your ideas? It's the well-being, isn't it?
Social.
The social aspect of it. Over the coffee machine, you have a quick chat. Oh, how's your day? Do you think that those managing those change have changed now in terms of how we interact with our colleagues?
Yeah, definitely, because we just don't interact as much. There's nothing better than just having a chat or going for a coffee or going out to get a nice sandwich or something. A lot of people don't do that.
No, and I think one of the sad aspect of that is we're losing the ability to build good relationship with our colleagues and getting to know their strength, how they can support us. Because when you're on Zoom or on your working from home, you're just typing away.
It's lonely. Yeah, it's lonely. There's no lunches out. There's no. Just what did you do at the weekend? Even small talk or going out after work for drinks or whatever. There's that's a lot. That happens a lot less.
Yeah,
so you can build up that relationship.
Yeah, and I think that plays an important part on your well-being in terms of managing that. And that's something that I think as society will have to adopt to that. And become resilient and look at how we
Mm.
can make that work for us. Because I don't think we're going to go back every like 5 days in the office now. I think far too many people are comfortable working from home. So it's going to be a new dynamic way of working, and there's a pro and cons to that, isn't it? So how do we navigate through those challenges?
I know, but I think it has its pros and cons. I mean, they sometimes seem my clients seem a lot less stressed because they don't have to sit in the rush hour traffic,
Yes,
work
yes.
from home. They can pick their kids up from school. So I don't know. It's getting in balance, I think.
And some people, you don't need to be in the office all the time. If you're in the background doing finance or so, like you might not. It depends on the job, really.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're a nurse or a doctor, you have to be, or in social care, whatever that is. But listen, Lisa, it's been absolutely fascinating talking to you about managing change. I'd like to thank you on behalf of the radio and behalf of my audience. Thank you for coming and sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, and your skill sets about managing change. And you've been a wonderful guest. Before we finish, would you like to say briefly a word to our audience about how you feel about managing change and what key two or one points they can take from that?
For me, change can be quite scary, but the changes that I've made in the past have always eventually been beneficial. So, what's that old adage? Nothing grows in the comfort zone. So, it's yeah, just embrace it. What can you do? That's life. It changes. We can't just stay stuck in the same place.
Yeah.
We're never
Well,
going to meet anybody, do anything, or achieve anything.
well, thank you, Lisa, for sharing
Thank
that.
you.
I'd like to say to my audience, thank you for listening to Talk to Josh, and I'll see you next week. As Lisa has said, change is something that's always going to happen in our life. Grab it, take the opportunity, learn from it, and remember there's no mistake. It's all about opportunities. And as a human race, we are always going to go through that change. It's about becoming aware of this, become resilient, solution focused, and how we adapt to those changes. Till next week, I wish you a very good evening and talk to Josh next week. Take care. Bye.
Digital radio like never before. This is Relax.